All right, today we're jumping right into one of the most powerful tools out there for web developers, the Python framework Django. We're going to break down what it is, see how it all works, and hey, we'll even get your very first project up and running in just a few minutes.
So, have you ever been scrolling through a massive site, like Instagram or Pinterest, and just thought, how on earth did they build this so fast? Well, the secret isn't starting from a blank page every single time. Nope. It's all about building on a really smart, really solid foundation.
I mean, think about it. Building a modern website from the ground up, it involves a ton of complex and honestly really repetitive tasks. You're worrying about security. You're writing the same login code over and over again. You're trying to figure out how to talk to a database, and then there's all the URL routing. It can be a massive headache. And that right there is where Django steps in. Its motto is the framework for perfectionists with deadlines. And honestly, that just captures its spirit perfectly. It's literally designed to solve the exact headaches we were just talking about. So at its core, what is it? Django is a high-level Python web framework, and its whole goal is to make building great web applications fast and, well, frankly, a lot less painful. It handles all that tedious back-end logic for you, so developers can finally stop reinventing the wheel and just focus on the cool, unique parts of their application. And this really gets to the heart of Django's whole philosophy. I mean, look at these superpowers. It's fast because it follows the don't repeat yourself principle, or DRY as you'll hear it called. It's secure right out of the box, protecting you from common threats. It's incredibly scalable. And my absolute favorite part? It's batteries included. That means it comes with pre-built components for almost anything you can think of. So instead of spending a week building a secure login system from scratch, you can have a totally robust one working in, under an hour. That's just a huge head start.
So, how does Django manage all this complexity so elegantly? Well, it uses a special architectural pattern called MVT. That stands for Model, View, and Template. The best way to think about it is as the master blueprint for how your entire project is organized.
Okay, let's break these three parts down because they're super important. Let's think of it like a restaurant. The model, that's your data structure. It's basically the pantry, defining all your ingredients and where to find them. The view, that's the chef. It's the logic that takes the customer's order, the request, goes to the pantry to get the ingredients, and prepares the dish. And the template, well, that's the final, beautifully plated dish that gets served to the customer. It's the HTML page the user actually sees.
So let's actually trace a user's journey through this system. First, you type a URL into your browser, right? That's the request. Django's URL dispatcher acts like the restaurant's maitre d'. It sees your request and directs you to the right table, or in this case, the right chef, the view. The view gets to work, maybe grabbing some data from the model, our pantry. It then hands that prepared data over to a template, which formats it all into a nice web page and sends it right back to your browser. Simple, right? And so elegant.
All right, enough theory. Let's get our hands dirty and see how this actually works in the real world. And trust me, getting your first Django project up and running is surprisingly simple. We're going to do the whole thing in just 3 easy steps. First things first, you gotta install Django. We use Python's package installer, called pip, and it's just this one simple command. Now, a quick pro tip. It's always best to do this inside something called a virtual environment. It's just a clean way to keep all your project's code and dependencies separate and organized. And boom, that's it. Okay, next up, we're going to use the command line tool that Django just installed for us. You run Django admin, start project, and then give your project a name. Let's just call it my project. The second you hit enter, it instantly creates a whole folder structure with all the essential files you need to get started. It's awesome.
And finally, step 3. You just navigate into that new project folder you just made and run this one last command, python manage.py run server. What this does is fire up a handy little development server right on your own computer so you can actually see your brand new project live in your web browser.
And if you see this screen, congratulations, you've done it. That's it. This is Django's way of giving you a high five and saying, hey, you have a fully functional, totally running project. This is a huge first milestone, seriously. So a project is really just a container, To make it actually do something useful, we need to build apps inside of it. An app is just a self-contained little module that handles one specific piece of functionality. Think of it like a blog, or a user profile system, or even a payment processor. Each one is its own app. So, getting a new app ready to go involves 3 key steps. First, we'll use a command to create all its files.
Then we have to tell our main project, hey, this new app exists, pay attention to it. And finally, we'll write our very first piece of logic, a simple function called a view.
And just like when we created the project, creating an app is just one single command. Python manage.py, start app, my app. This will generate a whole new folder for us called my app, and it'll be pre-filled with all the files we need, like that views.py for our logic and models.py for our data. Okay, so we have a project, we have an app inside it, and we have a view function. But there's a big missing piece, right? How do we tell Django that when a user goes to a specific URL on their browser, they should see the result of our specific function? Well, my friend, that is where URL routing comes in.
Now, this part can be a little confusing for beginners, but it's actually a really brilliant system once you get it. The main project's urls.py file, think of it like a main switchboard operator or a traffic controller. It looks at an incoming URL and just says, aha, this URL is for the blog app. I'm going to send it over there. Then, the blog app's own urls.py file takes over and does the final connection, mapping that request to the specific view function that's supposed to handle it.
So the whole process is pretty straightforward. Step 1, we create a new URLs.py file right inside our app folder. Step 2, inside that file, we define a path that points to our view function. And step 3, we just pop back over to the main project's URLs.py file and tell it to include all the URL patterns we just made in our app.
And here it is, the heart of it all, our simple view function. Look at it, it's just a plain old Python function. We've called it home. All it does is take in the user's web request, and for now, it just returns a super simple HTTP response. The text, welcome to Django. That's the message we want to see on the screen.
And there it is. After we wire up our URLs and hit refresh in the browser, that default congratulations page is gone. And in its place is the message from our very own view. You've just created your first ever dynamic web page with Django. How cool is that? Think about what we just did. We went from literally nothing to a running Django application that's serving a custom view. You now have the fundamental building blocks to create pretty much anything you can imagine. So the only real question left is, with this powerful framework at your fingertips, what amazing thing are you going to build next?